So we have a team battle going on. DS taking on SH in a 4v4 normal battle. Zane is starting off for us using Aqua Force against Sirvat's Kagero. This feels like a counter pick. Zane is using Eric, the grade 3 searcher, and Road Nikki starting off. So that could either mean A, he uses Savas in this deck, or B, he just uses it for the extra stride, so he doesn't have to discard as many grade 3s, which is actually a good idea for Aqua Force because you want those grade 3s as attackers. Zahn asked me about double mulligan. I did say yes, so he did do it, and he's still G assisting. This is unfortunate for him. He's gonna lose 2 cards in his hand. He does get the Tidal Assault, but now he has to remove 2 cards in his hand from the game. Chooses the critical and the draw. If it was me, I think I would have taken Wheel Assault out, unless he really feels like he's gonna need that booster later. Which he might. It's actually a very strong chance that he's gonna end up needing that thing later. Gets a Wheel Assault and a drive check anyway. Mother Orb Dragon. It's my first time seeing that heal trigger. It looks strange. Dragonic Neoflame in the rear. Is he using Gojo's skill or is it a booster? He's using the skill. Discarding the end, so now we know what this deck is. One thing people don't take to heart is that one turn can tell someone exactly what deck you're using. That won't hit. Zahn guarded it. That was 8k to a 9k. That was a misplay in guard. When someone does make an attack like that, you do have the choice to guard even though you don't have to. I think Zahn just got baited. Yeah, now we noticed. But technically, Sirvat has the ability to tell him he can't take that back. But he's being a sportsman guy and saying, yeah, you can have it back. Because it was a bad mistake in guarding that. He rides Transcore Dragon. Break ride unit, meaning when Zahn is at 4 damage, he'll have the ability to, at any time, ride into a unit that prevents the opponent from guarding unless they discard a card first. Zahn doesn't get any triggers, but a perfect guard did appear. Sirvat accidentally double drew and put one of the cards back. He did not shuffle, though. He did not shuffle and he cannot Legion. So if I was on, I would say he should shuffle the deck because he does have preconceived knowledge of what that card is. Calls a 9k rear guard. Without a stride, it's not going to hit, but he calls a booster with it. So yeah, he never shuffled. So that's 15k. Actually needs the guard. This one's hitting for 15 as well. Now, if he guards, the X does have the access to its skill. It's not a Legion skill. Dragonic Overlord the X, if he's the only thing in the Vanguard circle, does have the Persona Blast ability to counter blast one, discard a copy of himself when he doesn't hit, and force you to retire 2 units. So now Zane is using Stride. 2 Tidal Boars went into the drop early on. And he gets out Lambros. And now Zane decides to drop most of his hand. Thanks to Limit Break, he gets it back anyway, but it's still an interesting choice. He starts with 9k to the rear. Keep in mind, on restand, whatever units he stands up again will not gain the 10,000 power. So Zane's attacking the rears. 26k attack, and by flipping up a copy of itself, he stands Magnum Assault and Tidal Assault. They don't gain the power, but he gets Twin Drive. Trigger did not appear after 3 checks, so Tidal Assault goes for the rear again. And Magnum Assault can attack the Vanguard twice because of its Generation Break skill. He can counterblast 1 and restand it, and it gains 2k, making it 11. So the first attack needs a 10k guard, the second attack needs a 5k guard. Depending on what happens, Sirvat might have to let both hit. And that's not accounting to what he does here. He guards the rear again. Zane realizes he went this entire time without ever going into the battle phase, which he did it for the sake of Sutasha, so that it didn't count as boosting the Vanguard. So with the last attack, he doesn't go for the Vanguard, instead he goes for the rear, which is guarded again. He really wants to keep that rear. He gave up his entire hand to guard that rear. And for those who's wondering what this is, it's a plus 3,000 for Generation Break. The biggest reason I can imagine why he guarded so heavily was because he didn't have a unit to put in that spot in its place. But now we have Legion. Puts back a perfect guard at the end. A crit and a draw. So now the X Legion's with the end. And he gets to add either the X or the end from his deck into his hand. Sirvat has almost no hand right now, but he adds the X because he's figuring that Zane is going to guard his attack. He does have a perfect guard, so Zane can guard it. So Sirvat wants to take out 2 units with that. And Zane if Zane wants to keep his advantage, he has to guard, because if he doesn't, then he runs the risk of the end coming up in a drive check if it's not already in hand, and he's no guarding. So Zane is going to take the risk of restand. Zane is going to take the risk of restand. The end might already be in his hand. And it is. Either he got it from the draw trigger, or he got it from the draw of the turn. Which would be one heck of a top deck, by the way. So Zane actually might not guard this. And he's not. Another draw trigger. So that's a 26k attack from the rear. Zon technically is can afford to take it and still be alright. Or is Sirvat gonna go for the title assault? Sirvat's going for the title assault. It's not Zon's best. It's not Zon's only, nor is it his best way of getting 4 battles right now. But it's definitely something to deal with. So we stand and draw. And Zon's using Stride again, discarding a grade 3 and brings out another Lambros. Calls Magnum Assault and Title Assault from his hand, and uses the draw trigger to give 3000 power to a unit. He gives it the Title Assault. First attack, the first attack Sirvat lets go through. The second attack was from Sutasha alone, which did nothing. Third attack is from Magnum Assault, and then after the fourth attack, he stands both units, and this time they do gain 10k. First check is draw trigger, and the second check is a perfect guard, and third check is a heal trigger, so Zon heals. Very good for Zon because now he has a 32k title assault, and on restand it's only losing 5,000 of it. So now it's at 27, still hitting. So Sirvat has to guard because he's at 5 damage. And then he also has to guard Magnum Assault, which is going to hit for 26 and 21, and he doesn't guard. DS takes the first game. I guess with all that hand, he just didn't have guard for those kind of attacks, and I don't blame him because those are really powerful attacks. Moving on to game 2.